Welcome to Stow Therapy, where Stoic wisdom meets modern self-mastery. If you're ready to free your mind and take control of your life, let's begin. Your mind's survival code. Think the worst, feel the best. The Stoic formula for anxiety. Part 1. Managing anxiety, premeditatio malorum and other powerful techniques. Anxiety is a natural response of the human mind to the unknown. Our brain constantly generates negative scenarios to detect potential dangers and prepare for them. Thoughts like, what if I fail? What if they leave me? What if I get sick? May seem like they exist to protect us, but when they spiral out of control, they take over our minds and diminish our quality of life. However, one of the most effective ways to reduce anxiety is to think through our fears in the finest detail. Instead of avoiding them, we confront them directly. This method is called premeditatio malorum, meaning thinking about bad outcomes in advance. The Stoics believed that mentally visualizing the worst-case scenario could liberate a person from fear. But this is not just a philosophical concept. It is a mental technique supported by modern psychology, Buddhist teachings, and religious wisdom. In this video, you will discover the most powerful methods to understand, manage, and develop a healthier relationship with anxiety. Why does our brain always expect the worst? How many times a day do you create negative scenarios in your mind? When your boss calls you, you assume it's for bad news. When someone doesn't reply to your message, you think they are upset with you. When you visit a doctor, you fear the worst possible diagnosis. This pattern stems from a cognitive tendency known as negativity bias. From an evolutionary perspective, why does the brain prioritize the negative? The human brain pays more attention to negative experiences in order to stay alert to dangers. If a caveman didn't think, maybe there's a lion nearby, he might not survive. Even if you receive 100 positive comments, you will likely fixate on the one negative one. That's because your brain is trying to protect you from making the same mistake again. Although physical dangers have decreased in modern life, our brains are still programmed to detect threats. This is why we experience anxiety. The problem is, if we don't manage anxiety, our brain constantly fights imaginary threats and disconnects from reality. So, what's the solution? Not suppressing anxiety, but managing it. And one of the best ways to do that is through premeditatio malorum. Premeditatio malorum. Expect the worst, feel the best. Stoic philosophers believed that preparing for possible misfortunes in advance helped reduce fear. Seneca said, "The thing that scares a person the most is uncertainty about the future. Think about the worst possibility, prepare for it, and fear will not imprison you." Marcus Aurelius stated, "Thinking about death and difficulties should encourage you to enjoy life even more." Why does this work? The brain fears uncertainty. Once you define the worst possibility, fear diminishes. Being prepared brings confidence and soothes anxiety. If the worst happens, you will be mentally ready and calmer. How to apply it? 1. Identify what makes you anxious: work, health, relationships, etc. 2. Visualize the worst-case scenario in detail. 3. Think about how you would respond to it. 4. Recognize that it won't completely destroy you. Example: if you fear losing your job, what if I really lose my job? I will struggle financially at first, but do I have a backup plan? Maybe this could be a new beginning. Result: your mind prepares for a possible crisis and you don't panic. Other powerful techniques to manage anxiety. 1. Focus on what you can control. Epictetus's principle. Why does this work? Most people worry about things beyond their control. But the truth is, you can only control your thoughts and actions. How to apply it? 1. Take a piece of paper and write down your anxieties. 2. Divide them into 2 columns. I can control. I cannot control. 3. Learn to let go of what you can't control. 4. Focus on solutions for what you can control. Result: you stop wasting energy on unnecessary worries and start creating realistic solutions. And then what? Chain, rationalizing anxiety. Why does this work? 90% of anxiety comes from exaggerated, unrealistic scenarios. The "and then what" technique teaches logical thinking. Example: what if I mess up my presentation? People laugh. And then what? I feel embarrassed. And then what? In a few days, nobody will remember. And then what? Life goes on. Result: you realize that anxiety often makes small problems seem bigger than they are. 3. Physically releasing anxiety. Movement, breath, and nature. Why does this work? Anxiety is trapped energy in the brain. Physical activity reduces cortisol, stress hormone, and releases endorphins. How to apply it? 1. Exercise. Even a 20-minute walk relaxes your brain. 2. Practice deep breathing. Try the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. 3. Connect with nature. Look at the trees, the sky, and reconnect with the physical world. Result: when you calm your body, your mind also relaxes. Conclusion: make anxiety your friend. You cannot eliminate anxiety, but you don't have to let it control you. Because in the end, you'll realize one thing. Anxiety is just a shadow you have created in your mind. And when you shine light on it, shadows disappear. Part 2. Anxiety in love. Loving or fearing. Love is one of the deepest human emotions, but it is also one of the greatest sources of anxiety. What if they leave me? What if they don't love me like before? What if they betray me? What if I'm not good enough? Anxiety in relationships stems from fear of loss, past traumas, low self-esteem, and uncertainty. Most of the time, we don't suffer from love itself, but from the fear of losing it. But an anxious mind prevents us from truly experiencing love. Because anxiety is not about the present, it is an attempt to control the future. So how can we manage anxiety in love? Premeditatio malorum. Think the worst. Free your love. The greatest fear in love is losing someone, but constantly fearing loss actually pushes love away faster. The Stoic technique, premeditatio malorum, works here as well. Thinking through the worst-case scenario in love helps us love without attachment, more consciously, and with greater courage. How to apply it? 1. Identify what scares you the most in your relationship, e.g., being abandoned. 2. Ask yourself, what if I really get abandoned? 3. Think through the worst scenario. At first, I'll be sad, but I'll recover. I'll have more time for myself and discover new things. I've survived hard times before. I can handle this too. 4. Realize it's not the end of the world. Result: you love from a place of strength, not fear. You experience love as a moment, not a fear of loss. You stop trying to control love and enjoy it instead. Marcus Aurelius said, "Think that the person you love may leave at any time, not as a tragedy, but as a reminder to cherish every moment you have with them." Let go of what you can't control. Stop trying to own love. One of the biggest anxieties in love is, what if things don't go as planned? But relationships are not fully within our control. Remember Epictetus' principle. Some things are within our control, some are not. Things you cannot control. The feelings of your partner. How the future unfolds. Whether your relationship lasts forever. Things you can control. How you love. Your reactions. Your self-confidence. When you let go of the things you can't control and focus on yourself, your relationship also becomes healthier. Because when you set your partner free and they still choose to stay, that is true love. Seneca said, "True love is not forcing someone to stay, but creating an environment where they want to stay freely." Be whole before love. Build yourself first. One of the biggest causes of anxiety in love is feeling incomplete. If you see a relationship as your only source of happiness, the thought of losing it terrifies you. But if you are already whole within yourself, love becomes an addition, not a dependency. How to apply it? 1. Strengthen your own life. Have your own interests, goals, and social circle. 2. Change the thought, "I can't live without them." You can and you will. 3. See your partner as someone who shares your life, not someone who completes you. Buddhist teachings say, attachment leads to suffering, but love, when you don't try to possess it, sets you free. When you see someone not as your possession, but as a person who enriches your life, love becomes less anxious. And then what? Chain. Making anxiety rational. Love-related anxiety is often an exaggerated and unrealistic fear. For example, if you're anxious about, what if they leave me? Use this logical chain. They leave me. I feel sad. And then what? I feel bad for a while. And then what? Slowly, I heal. And then what? Life goes on. When you extend this chain, you realize your anxiety is overblown. The truth is, people lose, grieve, but always move forward. Don't fear losing love, just experience it. Living in constant fear of losing a relationship actually makes you lose it faster. An anxious mind always tries to control, test, and seek reassurance in love. But love is not about guarantees. The best way to reduce anxiety in love is to truly experience it. Instead of worrying about the future, live in the present. Instead of believing it will last forever, appreciate it now. Instead of questioning the love shown to you, feel it. Zen philosophy says, if you pluck a flower, you own it, but you take its life. If you water it, you live alongside it. Love is the same. Instead of trying to control it, accept it as it is. Conclusion. Free love from anxiety. To manage anxiety in love, use premeditatio malorum to imagine the worst, reducing its fear. Let go of what you can't control and focus on yourself. See love as a sharing, not a dependency. Use the "and then what" chain to make anxious thoughts logical. Live love in the present, not in the future. The most beautiful love is one free from fear, because love is not meant to be controlled, it is meant to be experienced. And remember, if you fear losing love, you may never truly live it. Part 3. Marcus Aurelius and the Battle Against Fear, a Stoic Emperor's Mind in War. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor of Rome, ruled during one of the most turbulent periods in the empire's history. As both a leader and a Stoic thinker, he faced not only external battles but also internal ones, the war within his mind. During his reign, 161 to 180 AD, Marcus Aurelius had to endure the Marcomannic Wars, a brutal conflict against Germanic tribes that constantly threatened the empire's borders. The challenges were overwhelming. Endless battles where thousands of soldiers lost their lives. political betrayals, as even those closest to him could not always be trusted. The weight of an empire, with decisions that determined the fate of millions. Despite these immense pressures, Marcus Aurelius remained composed, rational, and unwavering. But how? Fear and uncertainty on the battlefield. Every battle brought uncertainty. No leader, no matter how great, could fully control the outcome of war. Marcus Aurelius knew this, but unlike many rulers who allowed fear to dictate their actions, he applied Stoicism as his mental shield. In his private journal, Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Instead of obsessing over the unpredictable, he focused only on what he could control: his judgment and decision-making, his reaction to unforeseen events, his composure, no matter how dire the situation seemed. The enemy could attack at any moment. His advisors could betray him, his body could weaken, but his mind, his perception, was his to command. 2. Premeditatio Malorum. Preparing for the worst. One of Marcus Aurelius's most powerful Stoic tools was premeditatio malorum, the practice of mentally preparing for the worst-case scenario. Before every battle, he likely asked himself, what if I lose this war? What if my men betray me? What if Rome falls? Instead of avoiding these thoughts, he faced them directly. He visualized defeat, disgrace, even death, but not to despair. By contemplating the worst, he trained his mind to be unshaken if disaster struck. If you have already accepted the worst, what is left to fear? He wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, today I shall encounter trouble, ingratitude, betrayal, and selfishness. But I shall not be harmed, for none of these can touch my mind." This was not pessimism, it was mental preparation. When the worst came, he was ready. Facing death with a steady mind. War is not just about strategy and weapons, it is also about courage in the face of death. While many generals sought glory, revenge, or power, Marcus Aurelius viewed war with Stoic realism. Death was inevitable. There was no use fearing it. Pain and suffering were temporary. They were part of the natural order. Honor was in duty, not outcome. He accepted that he might fall in battle. He accepted that he might be forgotten, but he did not let these thoughts weaken him. He wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Even as the war dragged on for years, he did not indulge in self-pity. He focused on virtue, discipline, and duty. The battle we all fight, fear versus reason. Marcus Aurelius was not fearless. He simply refused to let fear control him. He reminded himself, everything external is beyond my control. The only thing that belongs to me is my mind. If I master my thoughts, I master my fate. The war he fought was not just against barbarian tribes, but against his own emotions, and he won. Not because he was never afraid, but because he knew how to keep moving forward despite fear. Conclusion: the Stoic warrior's mindset. Marcus Aurelius's strength did not come from his weapons or soldiers, but from his mindset. He lived by these principles. Shield focus only on what you can control. Prepare for the worst, so fear loses its power. Do your duty, regardless of the outcome. Accept death, not as a curse, but as part of life. His life is proof that even in the face of war, betrayal, and death, a calm and rational mind remains the greatest weapon of all. And today, his words still guide us. The battlefield may have changed, but the enemy, fear, remains the same. Will you let it conquer you, or will you, like Marcus Aurelius, choose reason over fear?